Right, the live feed's rolling, so you can start whenever everybody gets here.
It's Linda Knox online.
Do what?
Are you gonna do his calendar?
I'm working on it, dear. They're printing.
Okay, okay. I didn't want to keep him.
I told you it was transferring slow.
Yeah.
As soon as it sends it, he'll have them.
We need one more board member for quorum.
Do you want me to call Herb John and find out where he is?
I
not
don't
coming
think
today.
Herb was going to be here.
He's not going to be here.
Said this morning that he could not be at the meeting because he's tutoring today.
Yes.
Send an email out, Connie, if you want to look at your emails. I mean, while you're waiting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See what he said.
Herb will not participate, but he sent some materials we're going to discuss. But we need Sylvia or Linda Knox online to have a quorum. Welcome, Don Gibson. I see there is a caller, and maybe that's Chris Gorman.
Yeah, that's me. That's
Okay, great. I think even without a quorum, we could go ahead with your comments on the ordinance review. I know you have to leave, and the board can vote later or accept them. But would like to get your comments. You sent them out with a provision for blocking builders from receiving permits if they
Right.
hadn't paid their fines. I had a comment on that, and that is we also add if they hadn't paid a fine or failed to reimburse the city for any costs incurred by the city in remediating a hazardous situation with trees on that particular property.
good point. Good point. Good point. Could you add that? That's a good point, just the way you said
I
it.
could write that in, sure. But
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
I think we got to go after that builder that owes us $3,000.
yes, absolutely. If we
You.
need guidance from Chris on how to do that. Can we do it retroactively after we adopt this these ordinance changes, or do we do it by another route?
No, I think that we can. I think we just wait till he applies for another building permit and do not issue it. Just tell him once the fine's paid and say upon advice of council that we're not issuing any building permit, and just have his lawyer talk to me and we'll get it resolved.
So are you going to send him a letter
Yeah.
to that effect? How's he going to know?
I don't. Well, yeah, we can. I don't. I don't think it's necessary.
Well, how's he gonna
I'll be glad. I'll be glad to do that if you want. My thought was that he's not responded to anything that John Carter sent to him anyway, so he probably won't respond to me. But I'll be glad to do that. But I'd prefer to do it after we get the ordinance passed. I think we need to get the ordinance passed before we do it. Although, two thoughts here. Number one, I think we need to get the ordinance passed. But number two, if in the interim he comes in and asks for a building permit, I think we refuse to issue it and say, just what I said before, that upon advice of council, we have decided that we should not issue building permits to people who owe us money, and we're not. And give them my name and number, and I'll be glad to talk to him or his attorney and see if we can get it resolved. If in addition, after we get the ordinance passed, you want me to write a letter, I can do so. to kind of look at the analysis of it, and the KLC attorney looked at it the same way I did, as I think Doug did also. Our option here is really just file a lien, and then if they don't pay, to file a lawsuit based upon that lien. We can always file a lawsuit in addition without the lien, but we did not do so. It's just obviously a much stronger position. If we have a situation where this guy owns 2 more lots, it's obvious what our best option is. We just wait till he comes in and applies for a building permit and say, yes, we'll be glad to get it once you give us a check for the building permit fee plus $3,500. And again, just referring to me or his attorney to me when they start screaming and shouting, and we'll work it out from there.
Sounds good, Chris.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a quick message for Ron, and not to interrupt Chris, because I have another question.
No, go ahead.
We just
Go
got a
ahead.
phone call from Linda Knox saying she's having difficulty making the connection to this meeting. I don't know if you can help her or not, Ron.
Did she
She's
say,
in Arizona right
did
now.
she say what her issue was?
She did not.
I
What-
couldn't get on either. I think you have to put in your name and your email address now, and then ask to join the meeting. Doesn't join.
Last night when I was trying to join the council meeting, I had to reinstall WebEx. I don't know if I didn't have the most recent version or whatever, but I had to reinstall it. So, if that helps.
Yeah, that's the first I've heard of that. Lee, did you have any trouble getting on?
I had to put my email address in.
Yeah, same here.
Right, first time. Right.
Right.
I didn't, it was the same as it always has been. Easy
Yeah, mine was
peasy.
the same today too.
Well, in the words of the great Scooby-Doo, oh no.
I see Linda's name has just appeared here on the screen. It's great.
Sounds like she's on.
Thank you very much. Quick fix.
There's Linda.
I'd like to go back.
Process. I had to put in the meeting number and my password. It didn't
Yeah,
work, but I'm here. So
that's
So
great.
weird.
And we have a quorum now. Chris Gorman was just reviewing the situation with the builder who failed to reimburse the city and did not pay a fine. And he recommended
One more page,
block
Antoinette.
all the building permits for that person.
I guess it's because I've got this meeting going that it's just sending everything really, really slow.
Do you need
All
a
right.
resolution about that, Lee? Or can we just,
I think that's a good suggestion, Connie, if you want to make a motion that we adopt the language suggested by Chris Gorman with the addition I'm going to write in if that person or entity has not reimbursed the city for any related costs.
no,
Same provision.
make a motion? Oh, good, here comes Sylvia too.
Oh, good, okay. Can we have a vote on that?
Sylvia, say yes.
Yes. Yes, hi Sylvia, Linda, okay,
Yes,
okay.
whatever Connie says.
Motion has passed. I did have another question for Chris who has to leave. And that is, we had proposed some language requiring utility, that would be LG&E, to notify the city in advance of any planned tree trimming. And my question is, can we do that? Can we require that of a utility?
I doubt you can require it in regards to AT&T because of the fact that Ma Bell has the franchise. In regards to LG&E, it would really depend upon the terms of any franchise agreement that we have. and I would have to look at that. I see no harm in passing it, and then if they want, and notifying them of that, and then if they want to call our hand on it and complain about it, we can do that then. I'm just not assuring you. I'm just not assuring you that it would hold up. Is what I'm saying.
I understand that. In general, they're pretty cooperative, and we'll just write a letter.
Right.
I think that's.
And I think you might point out that we had that horrible situation. I forget exactly what it was. Well, it was when the roads were closed on the front of Hunting Creek subdivision, and people were going. What's the road on the back side that goes into Oldham County? People were coming in the back of the subdivision, and they trimmed the trees at the same time and delayed people, 20 or 25 minutes if you hit it wrong. So you really could not get in or out because it was not coordinated well. So that would be our explanation if they call as to why it has to be coordinated.
Okay, I'll work up a letter and have it signed maybe by John or the mayor.
Great.
Thank you. Chris, do you have any other comments on the proposed?
No, I thought from a legal perspective. No, I thought from a legal perspective. I think everything that you all proposed looks fine, and I have really no other comments on it.
I just have a quick question for, I guess, Chris and John. Do they feel that with the additional language that we've just talked about, which I think is a move forward, the language that's in there, is it adequate to pursue collection as needed, when needed?
Yes, exactly. That's why we're doing it, right?
Okay.
Okay, we can go back.
I think if we, let me make it clear. I think if we wanted to, we could file suit now, but the easier way to do it is the way we just outlined. But the way the ordinance is written right now, we can do the work, and the owner has the obligation to pay, and at that time the builder was the owner, so he is responsible. But we just, nobody's asking to file suit yet, and I just don't know this necessary, because then you're going to get into a lengthy proceeding. And the other thing I might point out, someone had suggested that we could possibly pull the existing permit that he had, and that's not a good idea. If you do that, then you could incur liabilities, because he has a right to rely upon that permit as he hires subcontractors and commits to various expenses. And if we got into that, if we lost it, we could be responsible for a lot more than the $3,500. So I would not do that. But from a standpoint of trying to collect our $3,500, yes. When this is passed, it will help us, but even if it's before it's passed, if he tries to get another building permit, just refuse to do it and refer him to me. Okay.
Very good.
All right. Well, I think I'll sign off. Sign off now if possible. I've got, how the medical profession is now. I've got back problems, and if you cancel something, it was going to be March 28th before they could see me again. So
yes. Well, thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Let me know if you need me. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
We can go back to the regular agenda. I wanted to get the benefit of Chris's counsel, knowing that he had to leave. So the first thing on the agenda for the meeting is the approval of minutes of February 3. Is there any comment on those minutes? A motion to approve them.
I motion to approve them.
All right. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Okay,
is passed.
February 3rd was the special meeting on the ordinances. What
The
about
ordinance.
January
That's
11th? That was our standard meeting.
That was, we had a January meeting and you sent the minutes out, but I didn't collect to put them on the agenda. So I would say we'll do it next time.
Okay,
Last night at city council, we approved 3 nights and sent some minutes all at one time. So next time around, we'll
okay.
put that one on. Okay. I don't know if the mayor or John Carter is on and has any comment.
You're muted, John.
Comment on whether you can amend the agenda? Is that the question?
No, I wanted to know if there's any updates you might say from the city in general.
Oh, no, I mean, I've been listening to what Chris advised you. Rick Wilson's aware of how to handle the situation. So that's really the only update I have for you right now. There was a discussion this morning. Linda can probably fill you in on trees and plantings for Little Hunting Creek Park. I think Herb mentioned that a good portion of it will probably come from Forestation budget, is my understanding. And I think that's really all I have to add.
Okay. And you're saying that Rick Wilson is well aware of the situation with the builder. So if any applications come in for a permit, that's good. Thanks. Thank you very much, John.
Sure.
Next item is our consultant, Andrea Hanlon's updates. Andy,
Well, first of all, I don't know if you all have seen, but the large oak that woman at 5604 Timber Ridge Drive had back in the landings, she got us to allow her to take a big oak down in her yard. So that, I don't know if you've noticed or been by that area, sometime in the last couple of months, that tree has been removed, just FYI. So hopefully she'll plant another tree like she she said she would. There's a few, there's a couple, speaking of that, back in the landings, there are a couple, I think I've spoken before about my concern about the Bradford pears planted as street trees in the landings,
yes.
that they're all about the same age. I guess they were probably, my assumption is they were planted by the original developer. They're all reached an age where they're declining and not in very good shape. So I've been watching those, and those people that live back there certainly would be great candidates for, as we've mentioned before, for our canopy tree program. And I'm assuming when the information went out on the canopy tree program, all the HOAs were notified. Is that correct? Maybe Linda would know.
That was not done.
Is that something that could be still done, or? I mean, I thought that would be a good, didn't we do that with the first go round with the canopy program, or am I wrong about that?
Well, we're up against a date maybe self-imposed of
Right.
having all the canopy tree program orders in.
Okay, well, maybe we can address that the next go round.
Next
It's
fall,
just,
yeah.
it's,
can do
those trees are, I thought that's what you all were doing. I guess I was wrong about that.
There
But
were-
anyway, there's
there were-
two Bradford pears I'm going to send you photos of. One located at 5603 Timber Ridge Drive, and the other one at 6905. And they're between the sidewalk and the street. So my understanding, those are homeowner responsibilities.
It would be, that's right.
And maybe I'll try to get you the board, the photos, and if you want to look at the trees, maybe the next meeting, you can put them up for a vote, whether we should send a letter.
Are they falling down or dropping limbs down?
They're not falling down, but they're hazards. They're very decayed. they've lost branches and they've had big branches removed. And now where those big branches have been removed at the crotch of the trunks, Bradford pears have branches that emerge all at one place on the trunk. So if you start losing branches there, then it doesn't heal well. The tree doesn't heal well and it gets decayed in there. And once you get decay in there, then those trees start failing. They're all street trees. So, and we know there's we talked about, I think it may be decided to be included later on, some plantings along the right side of the landings as you go in that Ron had mentioned. But right now there is a dead spruce there, a smaller 3-inch dead spruce there. I don't know if the board wants to vote on, so that it's probably small enough Ron can take out, I would guess, right, Ron?
Yep.
So that can be done whenever the staff has time to do that. So that's a 3-inch spruce. Also the holly tree, Mr. Holly is planted on the right side of Hunting Creek Drive on the exit side going towards 42. I think we lost that last year, and that's something that's small enough I'm sure Ron could remove in his spare time or somebody on the staff. So do we need to vote on those, Lee?
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
Based on your recommendation, we need a motion to remove the spruce at the entrance of the landings, the dead spruce, and the dead holly at the exit side of Clinky Drive, both on city property.
Okay, well, I make a motion to remove both those trees.
Second?
Any? Can somebody second that?
Second.
Linda
Okay.
did.
Oh, okay.
Okay, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll request or authorize the city staff to deal with that matter, with those 2 trees.
The only other thing I had was, as you know, we were a while back treating the ash trees in the city on an every 2-year basis. Then we went to an every 3-year basis. So as far as I can tell, the last group that was treated was in 2020, which is now obviously 3 years. And they were smaller trees, under 10 inches there was like 4 of them. And most of those are located along Sutherland Farm Drive. There's one located in a median in Sutherland at 6805 Hunters Run Place. And my feeling is that because those are all in non-irrigated areas, and also because we had the severe drought situations all last fall, that these trees are all of our trees, a lot of our trees are going to be very stressed anyway going into the spring and summer. So I guess I'm not sure that it's warranted to treat them anymore for just emerald ash borer, because they probably have bigger problems right now than worrying about emerald ash borer. So I wanted to see what you all thought. The other option, maybe that's more prudent, is we can wait till they start leafing out this spring in April, early April, or as warm as it is, they might be leafing out soon. We don't know, but as soon as they start leafing out, I can see how they're doing in general, and we can make that maybe determination at the next meeting. But I just wanted to bring it up.
Andrea, are you saying that all the rain we've had this winter, it's not going to allow those trees to catch up, that they've been hurt permanently?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, not all trees, but I mean, I don't want to generalize, but the severe droughts we had both in July and then again through the fall into December are going to have a significant impact, especially bigger trees or more established trees, all trees really. I mean, we've just had, and now the weather we've had in January and February are going to go down as some of the warmest months on record.
Mhm.
And I think they said January was the 10th warmest, or no, we are on track in February to be the 10th warmest, but we may end up as the 5th warmest. I mean, it's going to be almost 80, as you know, today. And those temperature fluctuations from between what we had at Christmas when it was so cold, below zero, and then this up and down weather is extremely stressful on all plants. So we'll just have to wait and see, Connie. I can't predict what's going to happen, but usually when we have severe drought situations, just that alone, it does some irreparable damage to trees, even though we get rain later on, because the damage was already done before we got the rain.
Is the root system damaged? Is that what's?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. So I don't know how you feel about those treatments. I mean, we can look, wait a month or two and see how the trees are doing, but I'm just thinking, I'm not sure that they're going to be worth continuing to spend the money on them. It's not like usually in the beginning when we started treating ash trees, we were treating the very best of the best. And, these trees have suffered some stress over the last few years. So with other things.
We could save our money and to plant new trees.
Right.
Those are going to die.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying they're just necessarily going to die. I'm just saying they're stressed. They're pretty stressed.
I like the idea of checking them in April, whether we then treat them for EAB or not is maybe a separate matter, but just to check them.
Right. Well, I'll be checking for
You-
sure.
You
I
could,
just
if
want
one
to
of
throw
us is
that out
around,
there
we
so
could
you
go
can
with
be
you.
thinking about it.
But,
I think
Okay.
that's all I had, Lee. I do have some comments, a couple other agenda items, but we can wait till you get to those.
Okay, that's great. The next item is the canopy tree program, and we actually received 5 orders for canopy trees. 2 are black gum, 1 is a clovia, 1's a Chinese elm, and 1's a bur oak. Additionally, the property owner of the 7402 Wycliffe address, where a street tree actually dead at the time was removed without authorization, has volunteered to donate $175, which is residential cost for a canopy tree, to the city, and we could plant a tree of our choice on city property. So you might say we have 6 orders.
Okay. Lee, I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Did we ever find out whether that was legitimate, that someone told him to take that tree down?
Yes, I talked with John Clark
Oh, good.
from the HOA,
Okay.
and he said that I don't know if he did it or there's a person that works for Sutherland
Right.
to check the
Malloy
trees
Properties.
had done that.
Yeah.
And John went on to say that he would, and I'm sure he has, make that person aware that before any notices are sent to property owners in Sutherland regarding removing trees, that the matter first come to the Forestation Board.
Okay. And the other question I have is, I'm the block watch chairman for where I live. I have
Yes.
never gotten a notice about, he's never sent out a blast that you sent to him, about the tree canopy program. The only way I know that people in Sutherland know is by the city newsletter, which I guess not everybody gets.
Now, everybody does not get it, and Ron could comment, but I think that the people that get the e-blast are the same ones who subscribed to the city newsletter, and if they don't subscribe to the newsletter, they're not getting the e-blast.
That would be
Is that-
correct.
is that-
You tell the homeowner, the head of the homeowners associations, aren't they supposed to tell all the block watch people about it? I mean,
That would be
John
up to the individual HOA.
You probably need to bring up that with John Clark, Connie. In yours.
Can I do that? I'd be glad to. Okay, great,
That'd be
thanks.
great.
Yeah, I would think any of you that know your HOA presidents would be a great
Yeah,
thing to do.
I know the police maintain a current directory of HOA presidents, and they could use that list and distribute, and then because we have access to our membership to send on. Obviously, you know, Sylvia, you're on a board, I'm on a board for my community.
So Sylvia, you made your HOA aware of, or the board aware of the canopy program, didn't you?
I did.
That's what I thought.
I made the Smithfield Green HOA aware as well, and I think they not to do it. Why? I have no idea. I thought it's a great program.
Well, the HOA for Smithfield Green did get a tree in the fall offering.
Yes,
Yes.
but on this particular round, they told me they weren't interested unless they changed it.
Yeah.
Do you remember, Lee, the person at 6916 Wyndham who took 3 trees out and hasn't planted them, hasn't planted anything in there? They were 3 just lovely maple trees.
Is that the
Oh, is that
Former
the
military
gentleman
person?
that had the ash trees that Lee and I went and marked?
No, they weren't ash trees.
Oh,
They were small flowering, like maple trees, I think, but they were
maple
really
trees
pretty
are
in the
shade.
fall.
Oh, okay.
It was 6916, and I thought that we had, said something to them about planting replacements, but they haven't done it yet, but they were supposed to.
How long ago did they take them out, would you say, Connie?
Oh, gosh, I bet it was 3 years ago. But you can still see the places in the, in the ground where those trees were.
I'm trying to remember that particular situation, but we did provide some arborfest trees to one property owner there who had
Right.
taken trees out. That person came and got 2 or 3 of those arborfest trees.
That would have been that wouldn't have been, that was
That
2021.
wasn't this year, it was the previous year. You're absolutely right.
2021, I think.
I thought they were supposed to plant them again as street trees. They can plant them any place?
Well, that resident, the board gave, that particular resident, which I don't know what their address is, that Lee's talking about, we gave them permission to do something else.
Yes.
Because I think that resident didn't have a ton of room in their front yard to plant another tree, as I recall.
That's
But
probably
we may
right.
not be talking about the same address, Connie.
It would probably not, because, they took down those trees. Why can't they just put other ones up where those trees were?
Is that between the sidewalk and the street, or was that?
Yeah, they were street trees.
Yeah.
We'll ask Linda Knox to try to check her record as to what action we took on that. Can you do that, Linda?
Yes, I will see what I can find out and see what we
Okay.
did or didn't do or go from there.
Do you want me to look up who the people are?
If you've got, we've got
Okay,
that
I can get it.
916 Wyndham is it, that I can work with that.
6916, is that the right address? That's what I wrote down.
We'll have to check again.
Okay,
I'll see what I can find out.
okay. Thank you. And continue with the canopy tree program discussion. This would
Send
be
me a
quick.
list of those, Lee. Can you send me a list?
Yes, I'll send you a list. I was going to ask you
And
if
then
you
I'll-
had a recommendation for the donated money, which we have yet to receive, but that'll probably happen. For a tree, any canopy tree or any tree on city property. Beside the replacing the two spruce and holly we just talked about. Maybe that one of those would be an appropriate location.
Yeah, well, we also talked last meeting, and I should have brought it up when I spoke earlier, but there's a mostly dead or certainly declining Japanese maple that is in the center of the Fox Harbor entrance median that I'm not sure if you brought up, Lee, or maybe Ron had brought it up at one time, but that's a smaller tree that we probably ought to vote on removing. It's in pretty bad shape also, but you know, that's might be an opportunity to plant a tree there. Let me, you know, I mean, we could, when you go in the landings on the right behind the entrance wall, before you get to I think there's a big oak or something that's planted on the right. There's kind of an open grass area between the back of the entrance wall going towards that oak. And I was looking at that area several weeks ago when we talked about removing some trees in that area. Anyway, there's kind of a spot there that I thought maybe an evergreen. I'd have to maybe get a logic map and show you where I mean, but back towards the board fence there that we could plant a magnolia. I think it would be nice to have an evergreen in that area, like to just add some winter interest. I think where the blue spruce has died, that we talked about removing, there's probably, I wasn't going to recommend putting another tree exactly in that spot. And then I know Ron has plans down the road to remove some juniper plantings, I believe, in that.
Yeah, we'll do that this spring, actually, so.
You know, so that might be more for a fall project to plant trees back, perhaps in some of those areas. The entrance meeting to Fox Harbor in the center of it, where that Japanese maple is, I was thinking it might be nice to have an evergreen there because there's just shrubs in the rest of that median. Or you could plant a shade tree if you'd prefer. I think, you know, something like, I really like the Foster hollies. There's a lot of hollies this winter that got damaged by the winter damage, the below zero temperatures back in December that aren't truly hardy here. And the Foster hollies did well through the winter. So did not all American hollies, but certain cultivars of American hollies. So I was just thinking it might look a little more upscale if we put a nice evergreen or something of some type in the center of that median. So that could be. But we'd have to get the other tree removed and the stump ground and that kind of thing. So
is that a good choice when we're going to obviously have droughts forever?
Well, that's an irrigated median.
Oh, great. Sorry, great.
And normally a Foster holly would do just fine. The Foster holly it was difficult to keep up with the watering last summer. You know, you guys, the board spent a lot of money, the city, on watering, and you know, we did our best, but you can't always it's hard when you have that severe a drought to give trees enough water. So the magnolia could be an idea. I was mentioning at the landings, possibly a tree for the Fox Harbor median. We could replace something where the Foster holly was on the right side of Hunting Creek Drive. Maybe not a Foster holly, maybe something else. So depending on what you want to do. Or we can you all may have other suggestions.
There's two issues here. First of all, regarding the property owner from 7402 Wycliffe, can we have a motion regarding the offered donation of $175?
The creek, almost down here to behind this new part. It's a cool walk.
I'm having trouble hearing.
I don't think anybody said anything.
Okay. I was gonna say, I'd like to have a motion, if people agree, to accept that $175 donation as the settlement of the issues related to 7402 Wycliffe. And then that'll just go into the general,
I'll make a motion that we accept his money, his blood money.
right.
I mean, the other thing is you could do something. You know, I mean, there's lots of places we can plant trees. Those were just some
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yes, awesome, because let's just vote on this $175. I second that motion. Any votes further for that from Sylvia or Linda?
I agree.
I agree.
Okay, I'll get in contact with them, and I think that'll resolve that matter. That's
Let's
good.
be
Thank
sure
you.
we get the money maybe before we start spending it.
Yeah, that's true.
Good idea.
Right.
Or
In
canned.
regards to Fox Harbor, since you're now dealing with landscaping, we probably need to include them in this.
Include who in it, did you say? Greenscapes or?
No,
I didn't hear you.
Fox Harbor. They,
Oh, yeah.
they,
Well,
they,
and that's
they
just
do have
one,
they do have an HOA, so.
right. Well, I
We-
mean, the other, I mean, we could, there's other areas we could plant trees too. So, why don't you let me make another, you all think about it, and then I'll make another recommendation or two, and then we'll still have time to order something if you'd like to. In the meantime, we can wait and see if the gentleman sends his check in after you talk to
Okay.
him.
That'd be fine, Andrea.
Okay, that's good.
And I will send you a list of the actual 5 orders we have with the addresses, and these people have all paid. So we should proceed to order the trees and get them planted.
Well, I'll get a quote on the price of the trees from the nursery, and you can approve that, and then I will, I guess after that, we should get a date for one of you to call Bud. To get the contractor has to call Bud.
The contractor's gonna call.
Yeah, sorry, I said misspoke. We'll get the order placed, we'll get you to approve it, we'll get the order placed, and then we'll see about how long they think it'll be before the order is dug, and then we can time when the utilities get marked around that more of an exact time period.
Okay, very good. So, finishing up on the canopy tree program, between the orders we had for the previous offering and this one, we have somewhere between 9 and 10 trees. Okay, so that's good. All on private property except the last one. That's a positive addition to the city. Any other comment on canopy trees before we move on?
No,
Okay.
nice. It looks like slowly but surely the word is getting out that the program is available.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I think one of the orders I haven't a chance to check it, but I think that the person that got a tree previous time has reordered a second tree. Okay,
Oh, good.
I'm pretty sure, but I just didn't have time to check it. Okay. The next item is a Little Hunting Creek Park discussion, and Linda Wardell, it's great you're here. Maybe you can fill us in. Herb did send out the plot plan for the planting of the trees species of trees. But I think you could probably add to that if you would, please.
Well, and maybe Ron can help me out too, because Ron was at the meeting this morning. The drawing that Herb sent out doesn't completely agree with what we got from Julie from Greenscapes, and maybe Ron can help me out a little bit, because I'm a bit confused. I don't know how. Anyway, we did meet with Julie, the landscape designer from Greenscapes this morning, and we also kind of walked the property a little bit. A lot of the things that the landscaping are shrubs, but of course what this committee is interested in is what the trees that they are proposing. And I had asked Julie to really focus on using native species just because it is parks, and I like the idea of using native plants. So she was very helpful in doing that. So this is what you're seeing now is what Julie gave us from Greenscapes. And let's see, along US 42, you can see the white circles and red dots between, and those are where they've already planted viburnum and nine bark.
Mhm.
And then if you look sort of on the right hand below that, on Julie's drawing, it says dogwood. And on Herb's, it shows redbud. So I don't know, but of course the list of plants that Julie gave us with prices listed redbuds. So I'm a little confused. And then you can see there's not a circle, but there's a wording on the left part where the nine bark and the viburnum are. It says redbud forest pansy. So I think in Herb's drawing, he has that one. There's not a real circle. Yeah, Julie had 3 circles there. So I'm just confused because Herb's drawing shows one.
Go
one
with Julie's drawing.
Okay, but then her list of plants has 4 redbud, but I only see 3 in her drawing. So, and then she has listed 3 dogwood, and from our discussion this morning, the dogwoods that she's talking about are the 3 that are shown near the playground. And I think the 3 that are close to US 42 that are listed dogwood, I think that may be in her mind of future planning and not right now. Would you agree with that, Ron?
I would.
And then she has a serviceberry listed, and she definitely said that was not listed in her current proposal.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, but that would be a future, potential future planting.
What are the 3 green the ones that got added near the parking lot? What are those? The 3 green?
Well, that's what I understood were going to be the red buds when Julie showed this to me.
So
and he had very faint circles on the drawing, and Ron just filled them in so you could see where they were.
Will this be irrigated? Is this an irrigated area?
No, it is not. None of it is. We do
so
have a hose out there, but
the dogwoods are going to be very hard to keep alive because it's not an irrigated site. I mean, they're very picky and very finicky, just FYI. So you need to know that going in.
Now, Julie said
that dogwoods are known to be difficult, not the easiest things to get going the first year or 2. So I'm just pointing that out. I mean, they're gorgeous trees. My other comment was, and I think I had emailed some of you this morning, is there any reason, Ron, that the flowering trees are 1.5 inch? Couldn't they be 2 inch? There's not that big a difference in the cost. They will have a little bigger root system, and that will help them to establish better, I think.
That I do not know. I will check with Julie on
All
that.
of them should be 2 inch. I mean, that's a better standard size. It would also be nice to know from your designer there's different varieties of Coosa dogwood, and some are better than others. Venus is one that's far superior. It's a white and it has like a 5 to 6 inch bloom. We planted some of those in Bridgepoint at one point. So it'd be nice to know which
What were the dogwoods that you guys planted out in the park?
in the park.
Yeah, you all have actually planted dogwoods out in the field before it was being converted, so.
I don't remember planting dogwoods out there.
That was,
Dogwoods and redbuds.
They were red. Are you talking about redbuds?
I thought there were some dogwoods out there at one time too.
I think it was a combination of,
That was
Redwoods
before
and dogwoods.
I had.
that was
anything to do.
before you were on board, Andrea,
Right,
and that was actually suggested by Mike Powers, who was on the board at that time, and it was a good suggestion. I think one or two of those trees have gone the way of dead, but some are still out there.
The only other thing was I was suggesting that you ask her if she can get a cultivar of the tulip poplar. It's called Emerald City. It's a little bit newer cultivar. It has better looking leaves. It has a better shape with a more symmetrical trunk. It's going to be better for that location. I did see that location where you were going to thinking about planting those. They're 25 feet wide as opposed to, tulip poplars just get huge. And
They do.
and I think that would be a better selection. They get 50 some feet tall, which is fine. So these are trees they should be able to get in the nursery trade. Shouldn't be an issue. They should have suppliers that have those. And if they don't, I can recommend one, but I'm sure they have their own, sources. Are the serviceberry going to be single stemmed, or do we know, or clump? Sometimes serviceberries are clump.
She
I
said
couldn't
that
tell you.
this is not in her current,
Oh, that's the one that's not in the current, right? I
Right.
got it.
that would be something to consider at a future date.
So
So the questions that I have are her list of plants. She had 4 redbud, but I only see 3 on her drawing. We have 3 dogwood, but on the drawing, there's actually 6 dogwood. I think it's just the 3 by the playground. But so those are 2 questions, and then I think we need to ask her to go with Andrea's suggestion of 2-inch flowering trees, and then ask if she can get the cultivars that Andrea thinks would be more suitable. I think, Ron, that Julie said she was going to come back with a proposal for irrigation. I think you're kind of opposed to trying to irrigate this area. Is that correct? Or would the city consider putting irrigation in?
I'm not gonna oppose it.
Okay.
You know my opinion on irrigation. The spelling of irrigation and irritation are only one letter off for a reason. I'm not sure the city's gonna wanna spend the money it's gonna cost to irrigate that, but we'll see.
if you don't put in any event, these trees are gonna, I hope there's gonna be monies available, or your plan with greenscapes includes some maintenance. Because, we all know they're gonna need regular watering. They'll need to be maintained.
There's a reason I keep preaching to you all about picking spots, so.
Well, we didn't develop this. I didn't have anything to do with this site, Ron. I'm just trying to keep you guys from shooting yourselves in the foot here. And it, obviously it has to be considered as a big part of any maintenance has to be considered, or you're kind of throwing good money after bad, or bad money after
Mhm.
good, whatever they say. I don't know. And those shrubs are gonna need some water that were
Right.
planted.
Yeah, there's a water spigot right around all the shrubs, so,
Well, that's good.
which there wasn't gonna be.
So are you gonna get like a final, is this the final drawing from Greenscapes, or are you gonna get another one when you get a final quote or whatever?
She,
That'll be up to the mayor, actually.
yeah, she gave us a list of plants and costs, but as I say, I'm confused about the number of dogwoods, I mean, number of red buds and
Sure.
the number of dogwoods and, yeah, so I think this cannot be the final right now. Would you
I
agree with that, Ron?
Like I said, it's all gonna be up to the mayor. The
And
mayor
I
likes
think,
it, that's what we're gonna go with, so.
yeah, but we need to have clarification on where's that fourth red bud and which ones, where are the three dogwoods going if we're doing that. But then I think it also gives us the opportunity to ask Julie to try to get the cultivars that Andrea thinks are better suited.
Cultivars make a huge difference.
Well,
in-
Julie does have a degree in this, so,
Right.
Well, I understand that, Ron, but she may or may not be aware of these cultivars. I don't know what her line of experience is, but it's not, it's just, it's always good. And maybe she has a particular cultivar she's going to plant. It would just be nice to have that information, you know.
Right.
I don't think Corey would be opposed to that. I
So
don't.
how will this be clarified?
Well, that was my next question. Ron, is this something that you want to handle? Do you want me to kind of,
actually, I'm just gonna suggest Julie watch this meeting on YouTube.
oh, okay.
Well, there's other cultivars too. I just mentioned two, but I do think a cultivar is a good idea in some of those cases. A different cultivar, a named cultivar.
Okay, that would, all right, so we can, the Forestation Board has to approve the final plan, so we would put this in advance, maybe hold a special meeting to discuss this once Julie has provided more input. Maybe considering changing some of the dogwoods to the red buds, which I believe are more resilient, which would be another issue.
Yeah, I think it's just the clarification on where are the four red buds, where are the three dogwoods, what cultivars.
But Herb mentioned 9 trees, but the document is a little confusing as to,
Well, that's the thing. Her plant list shows 9 trees. It shows 4 red buds, 3 dogwoods, and 2 tulip poplars. So that is 9 trees. I'm just not sure from the drawing exactly where they are.
Right.
Oh, Don was at the meeting this morning too. Do you have any other things to add?
No, Linda needs clarification, and I don't know why it slipped by us this morning. Maybe I hadn't had all her coffee.
Well, and not everyone got the list of plants. I did get it,
Yeah.
the list of plants, and I think the mayor did, but I'm not sure anyone else saw it. And I didn't really focus on that until I got home and saw what Herb sent out and said, I don't think that's what I saw in the other drawing. So, okay.
there's another issue related to the Little Honey Creek Park, and that the residents of Fox Harbor donated $500 for memorial tree for Paul Davis. And in the discussions with his widow, she was told that there would be an oak tree located next to the playground area. Now, perhaps she can accept a tulip poplar as a suitable memorial tree. It's a big tree.
Lee, remember, you and Herb and I had a discussion about possibly, and I don't know how this works with the rest of the park plan, but
Hey, boss, you're gonna want to watch the Forestation board meeting.
an oak tree planted along Fox Harbor Drive, Lee, remember, right on the right
Yes.
side as you come in?
Yes.
They're picking
And that,
Georgia.
we thought that would be a good location, moving it over there
You're gonna
because
go
it's
through and
right
watch
near,
it.
it's
Well,
right
I'm
at the
just- I'm
entrance to
letting you know
Fox
to go
Harbor.
ahead and tell her to watch it,
Yeah.
'cause they got all kinds of questions
Did
that
that-
were answered this morning.
is that
and how
not
they say
something
free
that's-
Coffee and.
I wouldn't call it.
I don't know if anybody else
Like-
was aware
like
of that,
stuff
but we had a discussion about it,
who's-
just
who's,
as
uh,
another
Oh,
option.
Andrea's the one doing all the picking of cultivars and all that apart.
He's talking about,
I'm trying to remain calm.
it's okay, it's
I
all
was
right.
supposed to be on this.
I think that's a good idea. That was what I had in mind, an oak
There you
that
go.
would go basically along Fox Harbor Drive at that area of the park.
It's
That's
right
still
before you get to the
acceptable.
creek. It's before you get to the creek. So we decided there was a grassy area there that we
Huh?
could fit an oak in. It seems like a good location if.
You know,
I
I don't know what Mrs. Davis would like. I think I was there when we first talked about
Yeah.
Pavilion or something.
Girl's got a
But
degree, I
where
think. That's what
tulip
she-
poplars are kind of a little bit away from the park. I think in terms of visibility for the tree, the entry along Fox Harbor Drive would probably be a more visible location than where we've got the tulip poplars
Yes.
kind of penciled in. So that's just something for consideration. I don't
Well,
know.
that would probably work, Linda, if you don't have any problem with it. I can talk with Mrs. Davis and she would probably be happy with an oak there right along that way.
And I think we also talked about the fact that down the road, isn't there, I might be wrong, but you all correct me, but isn't there going to be a sidewalk maybe down the road that would connect from the pavilion area towards the Fox Harbor entrance or something?
Yes, that's what Herb
I don't
told
know
us
if that's
just a week or two
true.
ago, that there would be a 5-foot wide sidewalk that would run from Fox Harbor Road basically to the pavilion.
Right, so that would be, make that even higher profile,
Yeah.
the location for the tree.
Although the walkway that we're proposing now will be closer to the creek itself, it won't be real close to 42. So I'm not exactly sure where you're talking about planting that oak tree. But
Well,
and
it would-
anyway,
Herb was going to lay out a detailed path. So why don't we let him do that? Then we can determine the appropriate spot for the tree.
that sounds
Yeah,
like.
that
a good
sounds
plan.
fine. And another question would be about schedule. We need to resolve the planning plan and fix the schedule for planting of these trees if they're going to go in the spring. Any comment on that?
The planning of which, the park trees or what trees?
Well,
Lee?
the ones that Green Space is going to put in, when would they propose planting them? And then would we be on the same timetable with the oak tree?
Does it have to be the exact timetable as Greenscapes or?
No, I don't think so. No.
I mean, we're gonna plant the trees that the city, I mean, the separate order that the city places with Abrams as soon as they become available, which I can't tell you when that is. There's a spring digging season. And I have a feeling things are gonna be moved up earlier because it's warmer than normal.
Warmer, yes.
But, you know, it'll be likely sometime in March, but I'm sure they don't know exactly yet. It's weather dependent. But as soon as they are dug, I mean, I can find out approximately sometime soon when we have to place the order, and then I can find out, when we could expect they might be available to plant,
Okay,
and then go from there.
okay. We may need another meeting before our normal meeting to resolve some of these issues. Any more discussion about the Hunting Creek Park planting? Or we move on?
I think we could move on.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we
I
won't be
don't-
able to do anything till we have more clarification. So,
I don't have anything on planning, but I do have a removal I need you all to look at. Right behind the playground, and I'm sorry, I cannot identify the type tree without leaves. I just can't do it with bark. I've tried.
It's hard.
Give me just a second, and I will show you. It sits right behind part of the playground, and it's had work done on it before, it looks like. But I don't like the way it leans out. If it does come down, it's going to take half of the brand new playground.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly what I thought.
I think, Ron, you mentioned that it's a double trunk tree.
Yeah,
Um, and also it's right behind that retaining wall, isn't it? I mean, not far behind the retaining wall.
well, it's
Yeah,
sideways, but I don't know if that's going to work.
So I wonder if the root systems might have been compromised
Yeah,
anyway.
all those trees along there, we're gonna have to watch closely
Yeah.
over the next couple of years, because they were all
It's not going to work.
most of them were compromised.
Well, if we turn sideways, we can.
Yeah, we can see it.
Is it the one with the branch hanging over?
Yeah, it is. I don't know why that turns sideways like that.
I think I would be fine with it if the board's fine with it.
It's not an attractive
They're
tree
gonna take your
anyway.
word for it.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's yellow on the inside.
Maybe it's an Osage orange.
That's what I thought it looked like.
The guy said the guys told me it's got sap like syrup and it's yellow on the inside and
Oh,
it
that's
stinks.
Osage orange, I betcha.
Yeah, and they have thorns too. That doesn't sound good
They're
for
up
near a
and-
playground.
Yeah,
Thorns don't sound good.
All right, I'll make a motion that, given Ron's recommendation and support from Andrea, that we authorize City Mains to have that tree removed. Second,
Second.
A second, yeah.
all in favor?
I,
All right, good. Since we're on miscellaneous trees, I'll mention to Ron, actually, on Fox Harbor Road, opposite the median on the entrance side, about 2/3 way up the median, but on the city-owned land that's it would be to your right as you're driving up that road. There is a fallen half tree that is blocking the open area a little bit. Now, people do walk along there from time to time, and the tree itself is not hazardous, but with its fallen down, it blocks the walking path, and that people would then tend to get on the road. And the road is a little bit hazardous because it's somewhat of a blind area right there. So, Ron, if you could take a look at that.
I will take a look at it.
Right, that's it, okay? Then really the last item on your menu for action discussion is that LG&E grant program. We've all talked about this program, and Linda Wardell has a person from Parks who's willing to work on it, but we actually need to decide what we're going to do or start to move forward on it, even for an October filing.
I wonder if the Little Hunting Creek Park project could be something we could submit, because there is a formal plan and it involves trees and planting. There's enough that I think it might qualify.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, Linda.
That
But
may be an
also-
excellent
And the other
suggestion.
thing, the other thing is that just FYI, I can look it up, or you can look it up, we can all look it up, but the trees, you might qualify for a tree, points towards a Tree City USA Growth Award for that park.
Mm-hmm.
And we can probably add something else to it if that's not enough points. I don't know
Well,
what
the
points
canopy
is.
tree program is another one that would qualify.
Right, right. Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
you all definitely have enough for a growth award this year.
Growth award, yes, I think so. The canopy tree program, I
Right.
looked at that. That in itself is almost enough for a growth award.
Right, yes.
And then coupled with the park work, that might be great. The only thing I'm concerned about on the park idea is basically this is a done deal. And LG&E might not want to fund a project retroactively.
That was my question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I don't have the paperwork here, but I kind of remember that you have to commit to it and you may or may not get the money. So,
Oh, right. I think that's true. Yeah.
So we're committed to the project. I think
right.
that's clear.
Maybe we get it, maybe we don't.
Yeah. The
But
only
if
thing,
we've already planted the trees, will they consider it? You know, because if we really intend to plant the little Hunting Creek Park trees this spring and we don't apply for the LG&E award until,
October,
until October, I'm not sure that they'll consider something that's already been planted.
that's what I was
I
concerned
think we
about,
just
too.
need to review all the requirements again.
I've only seen that one page. I don't have any detailed requirements, and I don't know how to get it. So, okay.
Yeah,
The
Sylvia
old-
said she had to leave. She had a client waiting for her.
Ron, did you have any comment on this LG&E grant program there as to other locations on city land and also that the LG&E program definitely requires a 3-year tree maintenance program commitment as part of the plan.
Well, what about the areas that you talked about earlier in, I think, the landings entrance? If you're taking junipers and
Mhm.
spruce out, maybe that would be an opportunity.
There's
to-
actually
It's
quite a
gonna
bit of
be-
room up there for trees, so
I
you
don't
could
think,
look there.
right. When I looked at that though, I think there's only, you probably are, I mean, it might be 5 or 6 trees. I mean, I don't think it's a huge number of trees probably. So you
Median
could
for
probably
Fox
add to it.
Harbor. Median for Fox Harbor's got room for at least one, I know.
Right.
There's always the entrance to Hunting Creek. That's a big open area.
I'll tell you where in Hunting Creek, but it's not irrigated, of course.
I was trying to think, of course. I was trying to think of irrigated areas,
Right,
but
right.
Right,
No,
yes.
could be, it would require other work to be able to do it, and we'd have to look at the area again with Ron to determine the exact width of the right of way and stuff. But you know where those groups, I think it was 1 or 2 groups of black locusts were taken out, Ron, on the right side
on
of
the right-hand side, yeah.
Yeah. And there's kind of a bare bank there where,
Mhm.
they were taken out. I can't remember now how far back that goes from the edge of the road, but it's a pretty highly visible area there. Obviously, it doesn't have irrigation. But I don't know, but there would have to be, and with that grant money, I don't know if you can do something else to prepare an area for planting trees. It would have to be regraded or something would have to be done there to,
Something to consider too, there's some would have to be deep rooted because that's all loam.
yeah, It's
Yeah, the
probably
city
very,
has to pay.
Anything shallow
it's
rooted there is not
it's
gonna, not
sandy
gonna
there.
hold.
Is it very
It,
sandy?
it's very sandy.
Yeah.
That is
No, I don't know.
actually
That
a
was just a,
prehistoric riverbank,
yeah,
into the river.
okay. Yeah, I know the soils are different there. That was just a thought, but it's pretty high profile.
So do we have a concept of a plan? And if so,
I think we do.
do we need to have a little work party? I could participate with Andrea and Ron to identify the sites and number of trees.
It sounds like could be, called the, medium beautification plan, and it's all on public land versus a particular park plan.
It probably needs a name to coordinate all different areas, I would think, like, doesn't it? Like, you're just planting a few here and a few there and a few somewhere else rather than doing a whole organized tree planting in one location. I mean, when you think, Linda, I don't have the information about the grant pulled up, but it probably needs some kind of a name like that to
Mhm.
tie it.
I agree. That's
together.
why I was saying a median plan or something that you're going to be in different parts of the community, but it's all addressing medians within Prospect,
Right.
perhaps.
Well, why don't you all think about it too, and we can, I mean, I think we could, if we need to look at something, we could do that next month, or, I mean, we still have plenty of time, but maybe you all will think of some other ideas that occur to you too. And I may too, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, the only other idea I had was to do something further in Hunting Creek Park, not Little Hunting Creek Park, but down at like along the Orange Trail.
The
Harris Creek.
problem there
I
is
think Ron didn't want to do any more planning down there.
Yeah,
because
it's
of the flooding and
flooding
And
and,
between flooding and
beavers.
crowding that sewer line. I,
yeah.
I'm not all about that.
it would all have to be
Okay.
remarked again to do it, and I don't know if
Yeah,
they'd even
so,
remark it.
all
Well, the
right, so
thing
we'll
is,
drop that,
it's,
right?
yeah, it's like I said, we've planted so close to that sewer line that if they ever have to dig it up, wherever they're at, they're gonna kill whatever. I mean, it's because I know there's one area that there's like 9 trees, and the sewer line runs right down through the middle of them, is less than 10 feet away from some of them.
Yes.
So I think that, if you're for the LG&E grant, you definitely could call it, you know, neighborhood entry plan or something, because you've got medians and you've got the entrance roads. I don't know, for various neighborhoods.
Right.
I like that. You should be in marketing, Linda.
The
No,
spin
I
doctor.
uh,
We call it the neighborhood entry plan, okay. So I'd just like to get something done on this. And I'm willing to meet with Andrea and Ron and anybody else who wants to participate, to try to come up with a number of trees and locations that we could then have written up.
sounds good. I think that it would be nice to let Tina Bevan know when you plan to meet, because she's the one that has offered to help write the proposal.
Yeah, great.
And it would be helpful for her to see the areas.
Yeah, she should definitely participate.
Yeah, or let's get an idea together that the board sort of approves, and then maybe meet with her,
Sure.
before the grant. Obviously, she needs to be involved to know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was going to help write up or do the write up, actually.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
sure.
Do we pick a date, or we just say we'll get together later?
Um, I guess we can, Lee. I mean, it probably is gonna be into March now,
Okay,
you know. Why don't we? Let me get a chance to look at it, to maybe come up to some other areas. We can propose some planning and then we can look at it together,
okay,
you know,
That's
in a couple
fine.
of weeks or something like that, maybe.
okay, that's great. That's fine. So, the last item on agenda is actually the next meeting date, which our regular second Tuesday of the month happens to fall on the 14th of March. Would that work for everyone?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I think so.
Well, we'll plan to do that by WebEx,
Mhm.
and we may have to call a special meeting to resolve any issues with the planning plan for Little Hunting Creek Park, but we'll see what happens with the comments back. Anything else to be brought before this group?
I don't have anything.
Nope.
Okay, well, thanks to everybody. A lot of progress is being made, and particularly that work on the ordinance that was done last time and what Linda Knox wrote up, and with the input from Chris Gorman, that's going to resolve a lot of issues that have plagued the Forestation Board work. So that's really good.
Right. Thanks, Linda, for all your help writing that up and taking such good notes.
Yeah, so Linda did an
After
amazing
all the
job, actually.
discussion, it was very positive. So we need to incorporate what Chris provided into the changes. And then what are the next steps in terms of submitting it to council for them to actually act on these changes?
That's right. I mentioned this in just last night at the council report that we might be able to submit this for the March meeting. We probably can.
Mhm.
Linda, I sent you the names of the people that own that property on
Okay, great. Thanks.
text. It's a text.
I'll check it out.
Okay. Dawn, thanks for your input here and
No problem.
presence. And if nothing else, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. I'll second it. And Linda Wardell, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye, guys.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you, Ron.